So good morning, everybody, and welcome to your next, that is 312 session of Empowering Morning Conversations. And I'm sorry to say I cannot continue with the call today, and I'm going to hand you over to Rama and Vetri and Kunan, because my signal here is terrible. So I'll be joining you tomorrow. Please carry on. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful session. So over to you, Rama, Vetri, and Kunan, and Neeti, and everybody else.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Vetri, can you get started? I'll just.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's a wonderful morning, and it's so fortunate that all our like-minded people are there, and we are beginning with full of positivity. Till the time Ramaji gets ready, let's do our favorite laughter exercise, so that we get more energy. When I say 1, 2, 3, we are going to say 100% laughter without stopping for a minute, and we will give it up. Ready, start, 1, 2, 3. If you want more laughter, see other screen also. Such a mood enhancer. We must say thanks to Suptivakri for this exercise. That's such a wonderful exercise. Thank you very much for that. I remember when I go to this yoga session, there are so many systems where they say, just a second. Whenever they say some exercise, one of the exercises Kapalbhati. When we just breathe out continuously without stopping it. When you have 10, 15 members, you can easily see who is able to do it very casually and who is not practicing all these things and all. So this is something linked with the breathing also, this laughter exercise. But we are doing it in a different name. So with that great thought, let us get into our regular discussion. Neeti ji, good morning. You look so bright today. You want to say anything to
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. You're also looking nice in a different color t-shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vetri. Good morning, everyone. So today, few days ago, Jonita talked about health. So today, let's talk about wealth. So what is wealth?
Wealth is money.
Yes, Radigar.
Earning money.
Yes, sir. Did you say something? I couldn't hear.
Earning money.
Ramaji, can you hear us?
Now I can.
Rediger said earning money. Yeah, please go.
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I think my network gone for some time. Now I can hear. Are you able to hear me?
Very clear.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, earning money. Okay, that is one part. but that alone doesn't define wealth.
Wealth is the surplus left after all our expenses are met. That is what we would look for: investing, saving, growing for future.
Okay, so that's what we do typically. But again, wealth is not just saving only the surplus money, but that's what most of us do. Yes, that is also partly correct.
Assets.
Yes, of course. Vilas, you are a financial advisor, you know. Yes, definitely the assets are the wealth. And there is something more also, which all of us know.
Good health.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the assets, our health, and we are the biggest asset we have is ourselves. Right? So wealth is not just the money alone. It is typically the assets, various different types of assets, what you build. And the assets keep increasing in value, and assets give periodic returns. So that is the asset, and that is the wealth. That is how the wealth is created. And Nitiji, you said, the surplus money we save, actually it should be the other way around. First of all, you should save and put it in assets, and then take care of the remaining thing for your expenses, for your loans and other things. So it has to be reversed. But typically, majority of us, what we do is we earn money, we spend for our expenses, we pay the loans, and then whatever is left, if at all, that is what we save, that is what we invest in assets. But that will not create really the great wealth what we want. So we have to define how much I would like to first of all save or invest, and then remaining we have to see how to spend it, how to take care of our liabilities. So that shift has to happen if you really want to be wealthy and you want to really enjoy your wealth. So that's very, very critical factor for most of us. Okay, so somebody raised a hand. Who was that? Okay, right. So what's the difference between money and wealth? So they said money, money is the liquid form, which you can use it and spend it anytime the way you want. Whereas asset is normally the wealth is normally in the form of asset. So some of the assets you can liquidate immediately. Some of the assets you may not be able to liquidate immediately. So the money keeps decaying in value. The value of money keeps going down. Whereas the assets value keeps increasing. So that's a major difference. So if you keep the money, the value of the money will keep decreasing. If you keep the assets or the wealth, its value keeps increasing. So any other differences? Yes, sir.
No, in case of assets also, in case I buy a car,
Yeah,
the moment I get it from showroom outside,
right.
the price, the value depreciates, sir.
Absolutely. Car is not an asset. So in fact, our guy Robert Kiyosaki, he really revolutionized the personal finance area. He will come to you. So he defined very in simple words for us, what is asset, what is liability. So anything which generates money, that is asset. Anything on which you spend money, that is liability. Your car is a liability, absolute liability. It is not asset. So you have to define with this definition. You have to classify your assets and liabilities. Yes, Vilasji.
Yeah, absolutely. As per Robert Kiyosaki, the things which are putting money in your pocket is the asset. The things which are taking money out of your pocket is the liability. For
Yes.
example, the house. The house where you are staying is not an asset because it's not creating an income, rather than it's taking money out from your pocket for maintenance or for taxes. So, in simple words, the house or the flat or the property which is put on rent and giving you the rental yield is the asset.
Right, you're right. Vilasji, that's correct. So as I told before, asset has two main properties. One is its value keeps increasing. Second, it generates periodic income for us. Whereas money's value keeps decreasing. And of course, you can use the money to buy or to do whatever you want. Okay, so any other difference? And of course, at any point in time, we can convert one into the other. Money we can convert to assets. Assets we can convert into money. Some of the immovable assets like real estate and a few other things, the locked bonds or the other things, it will take its own time. You cannot immediately liquidate and convert as the money. It has its own advantage, so that you will really be very, very conscious and be clear whether this is the right time to liquidate the asset. So any other differences? So when you have the liquid money, what typically you would like to spend it? Spend it on whatever it is. Spend it on yourself, your health, your food, your dress, your possessions, car or house, anything else. So people can see when you possess money and spend it, people can see that. Yes, Sakshi. You've raised your hand, Sakshi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Now, just now, Vilasji said that the house we are staying in is more of a liability and not an asset. I somehow don't register this because although we're paying rent or we're paying some amount maintenance or whatever the house we are staying in, the value of that house keeps on increasing. So it has got an appreciating value. So whatever maintenance we are paying is because we are staying in it. It is for that. The house what was bought for 1 crore will become 1 crore 110 lakh and then thereon. So I feel that's more of an asset, although it has got some maintenance or some outflowing amount added to it, which goes every month or regularly. But anytime, if you want to sell it, it will fetch you a good amount. So it becomes an asset as well.
Yeah, so it is off the asset. As I said, there are two properties. One is increasing the value, second, periodic generation of returns. So the house we are staying, it keeps appreciating in value, but it doesn't generate income. So that way, what you're saying is it is partly asset. So what about the car? Sakshi, what about the car?
Yes, Raman sir, you're asking me something?
Yes. What about, yeah, you said the house we are staying, you can't really classify as the liability, which I also agree, but it is also not pure asset. So what do you think about the car you possess?
Car is definitely a liability because it will not have an appreciating value. No, the sooner
Exactly. It
it
is
is
exactly opposite.
out of the showroom, its
Yeah.
value decreases. No, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about car. I was talking about our own property where we are staying. Okay, you have to pay a certain amount every month in the form of maintenance and whatever, electricity bill and all. But ultimately, its value will keep on increasing and you can again, whenever you want, you can convert it into cash, you can encash it by selling it, and it will fetch you more than what you had bought it for.
Yeah, so you can keep that as the partial asset. The
Yeah.
pure asset should do both. One is increase in value. Second, it should generate periodic income.
Right.
Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity, bringing in clarity. Yes, Vilasji.
Here I just want to add on, as long as and when you sell the house, then it becomes the asset. But end of the day, we need one house to stay. So that is again, if you don't have a house, we have to again spend money on the rent. So that is the another way to look at it. That in simple words, the things which are putting right now the money in your pocket is the asset. The things which are taking money out of your pocket is the liability. So yeah, the appreciation is time bound. So it comes as and when you sell it. So that is another point of view to look at the asset point of.
Yeah, so it can be made as pure asset after selling, basically after selling and putting into another asset, which keeps increasing in value and generates the income as well. Yeah. So we can also treat the house we are staying as the partial asset, velocity. It's our convenience of how we want to treat it. But the essential thing is the asset should increase in value and generate income periodically. Yes.
Absolutely. There is one another point, as you asked the car.
Yeah.
So the car which you are using, definitely it's depreciate as it comes out of the showroom. But the
Right.
same car is
Yeah.
using as a rent a car company and
Yes.
making money out of it. So
Yes.
it is also
It can be a partial. Yeah, it
yeah,
can be a
it can be
partial
a
asset. Yeah.
partial asset,
Yeah,
like
you're right.
rental yield.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So here it is exactly opposite of house, where the cost value will decrease, but it generates periodic income.
Yes.
Yeah, that's excellent example. Thank you, Vilas. Yes, Ratanji.
Yeah, I was going to the same thing. Car, we can say, is a depreciating asset, and house, we can say, is an appreciating asset, but not liquid. When you want to cash in the house, it can take weeks or months. So it's an appreciating asset, but not liquid. You cannot use money at the same time. And sometimes, like Sakshi was saying now, on a vintage car can be a appreciating asset. Art hanging on your wall with a good name behind it can be an appreciating asset. Most of the things in the house are depreciating assets. You buy a TV for, let's say, 20,000, and you can sell it, it will depreciate, but you're using the thing. So most of the things we buy for personal use are depreciating assets. And if it is for business, same thing, I want to buy and give it on lease, then it becoming a appreciating asset. So that's the same thing.
Right. I think that's a good definition. Instead of partial asset, you can say depreciating asset. Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other difference between wealth, asset, and money? So one more difference is that money, as we said, money, once you have it, you will would like to spend it. People can see the impact of money, people can see. Whereas the assets, not necessarily people can see. So that is another difference. So people can see money. Wealth is something people normally cannot see.
Money is basically liquid form. Money, as you rightly said, it can be spent. So money can be invested well to create asset. So money can be converted into assets, and whatever assets appreciated, we can liquidate and make money. So the money is in the current form, but assets in different forms, like commodities, gold, the real estate property, flat, commercial property, farmland, as well as shares, stocks, mutual funds. And there are various businesses where we invest into stocks or
Right.
the machineries.
Yeah.
That is also a form of wealth in terms of assets.
Right. Yes, it can be converted. Yeah, asset can be converted to money. Money can be converted into assets. That's right. Okay, great. So that's the essential difference between money and wealth or asset. Now, how many of you have written will? Is there anybody who has will? It's so critical that we should have the will written and registered, and it can be changed anytime. So what is applicable is the latest will which was written and registered. Registering has its own advantage. Yes, Sakshi, go on.
You asked that we have made our will or not, something, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I have made my will.
Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing. Typically, people do not focus on that. That's amazing, because what happens is we have our wealth or our money, and if we don't have the will, when we go away, the family really struggles to get hold of those things. It's always a good thing to prepare a will and sign it and register it, preferably. Otherwise, it's a hell for the family to really get hold of all the various assets and money you kept it in various places, and how to track it. It's a really very, very difficult process, and it goes for years and they suffer a lot. Yes.
Yeah, in my understanding, I did a lot of research before doing this will. So in my understanding, if you have just handwritten a will without registering it, it can be contested. It can be
Yeah.
taken to court, and there can be chaos. So registered will is a must. And yes, you can always change your will as many times as you want.
That's right.
Yes, because of Corona and all, there was so much of uncertainty and all these things. I said it is better to make a will so as to make our offspring's future secure. So I made my will.
Amazing.
you.
That's very, very unique, Sakshi. I don't think any of us have written will except you in this group. Probably Vilasji. Yes, Vilasji, go on. Okay, Yonita also has done it. Excellent. That's very nice. Yeah.
See, the important thing, there's so many cases pending into civil courts, and it takes years and years to clear. That is the titles or the farmlands, and so many things. It's because of the joint family and their joint family businesses. So will is the important thing. And being in Dubai, basically in India, we have a Inheritance Act. After father, mother, then children's come into picture. But in UAE especially, we are writing the wills for non-Muslims as a part of estate planning, because here in UAE, Dubai especially, we have a Sharia Islamic law, where if somebody dies, their bank accounts got frozen, and the Sharia applies. And Sharia is where your male family members come into picture rather than the spouse and the children's. So the distribution of wealth happens in a way where father, that person's father, brother, mother, sister, everybody comes into picture, and their spouse and children will get 7th or 8th % seventh or eighth share of the property or bank account money or whatever asset they carry. So in that case, the will is the must when they have a properties over here. Ideally, people don't keep much of money in the account, but in India, we have a either or account, joint account. Here also people do that, buying properties on the joint name as well as keeping both of partners' name in the account. But here one of them dies, account got frozen because of the Sharia law. So will is the regular practice over here, and so do we have in India. And India here. Minimum expenses of making will is approximately 50,000 to 4 lakh rupees, depending on the types of will. But in India, it is very simple.
Yeah.
In India, we required one MBBS doctor, two witness. Why we require doctor? Because doctor has to certify that there is no pressure. The person is mentally and physically healthy, and he is making will, and only two witnesses. So these are the simple will we can make it and register it in the local court by doing the notary.
Yes. Thank you, Vilasji. Right. So any questions on this two topics we talked so far, wealth and money and will? Okay, Sakshi says around 10,000 is the expenses for writing and registering the will. That's a very useful information, and let's all please do this. It's very, very important. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, nominations. So what is nomination? Whatever the kind of accounts you have, whether it is a savings account or fixed deposit, recurring deposit, trading accounts, demat accounts, your PPF account, anything in the form of accounts with various agents, mutual fund accounts, various agencies, you can nominate people in case something happens. LIC policies, yeah, everything, LIC policies. So for each one of them, except I think for the properties and what you physically own, gold or money, for everything else there is a provision for nomination. So we can nominate one or multiple people. So what is the meaning of nomination? What is the advantage of nomination? Yes, sir, Rathanji.
Okay, nomination in a bank or LIC policies and other things. Technically, a nominator and a nominee. So the person who is holding the asset is a nominator. If he passes away, the nominee has the right. Is more like an administrator. He's not technically. He's not the owner.
Exactly.
Except in the case of co-op societies, they have accepted.
And Maharashtra state. In Maharashtra state, if you're a nominee, it goes to them directly.
Right. At least in the apartments, flats we call it. In the co-op, they have accepted that whoever is in the nominee in the society becomes the owner without any questions. But other cases, he's just an administrator. The nominee is an administrator.
Yeah, so the nominee doesn't get the wealth or the property right away. Nominee is the person who's responsible for taking hold of that property and make sure it goes to the right heirs as per the will or the Inheritance Act, like Vilasi explained. So that is the purpose of nominee, because the banks or the other institutes, they don't want to handle that headache. They want you to nominate somebody who will take care of that one. So nominee doesn't mean that it goes to them directly. Just because you put your nominee as that one person as the nominee for your account, your demat account or your savings account, that doesn't go to them directly. They are responsible for taking control and distributing to the right heads, a right set of people. Yes, Vilasji.
Basically, here we have to understand that most of the being in this industry of insurance investments and wealth management, as I knew that there are thousands and lakhs of policies are the policies are unclaimed.
Yes.
And same as with the banks, the money is lying with the person who is not claimed. So it is not only important to nominate, but to inform the nominee also that you are a nominee and we are
Yes.
having the asset. So
Absolutely.
the thing is that we have to make an Excel that these are our assets, these are our policies, these are our investments. Nowadays we are more transparent, we are sharing something, but in old age, my grandparents or grandfathers, they don't used to discuss this area with the my granny or in the family, what they possess, what they have, whatever financials they carry, what loans they carry. So this is something taboo in our society when it comes to the finance. So
Right.
it's very important to inform the nominee, as well as in Dubai, when we are making will, we make that person as a trustee who is owning that asset, and we are appointing one person who is executor. If the person is not there, so somebody, that person is not the owner but the executor on behalf of the minor children's.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Vilasji. That's right. So if in Maharashtra, if you make a nominee, I think it also directly goes to them.
Yeah, ideally nominees are the spouse, children's. So nominees start from the point of the point of view is that the nominees has the ownership has to goes to nominees. So
Yeah, that's only
nominees
in
are another.
Maharashtra, not in other states.
I really don't knew that. I work
Yeah,
in Maharashtra and then I came to Dubai. So
yeah.
this is the
Yeah, so
information for me.
yeah, that there is a difference between Maharashtra and other states. Right. So any other points or questions on nominations?
Can I add something?
Yes, Coach.
So in this will, how it is that you have to have two witnesses and you can add executors. So in my will, there are two witnesses who were present when I made the will. Plus, I've also added two executors. Since my daughter is small, God forbid something happens to me, she may not be able to figure out. So there are two executors who will see to it that as per my will, all the assets and property or whatever it is will be passed to the right hire.
Right.
So you have to clearly mention that there are, and you have to inform the executors as well. You have to take their permission before adding their name. So as they are responsible to see whatever is executed in the will. Whatever is mentioned in the will should be executed.
Right.
Executed.
Yes. That's right. Sakshi. Yeah, thank you for that. Yes. So now, how do we create wealth? How do we invest in various assets? What are all the various assets? So what are the various asset classes you are aware of? Neetiji, go on. You wanted to say something? Yes, Vilas.
Well, the various assets classes starts from the fixed deposit, bonds, government bonds. The other asset class we can talk about the uh, equities, mutual funds. Then we have other asset class like commodities, gold, or any other precious metals. Then we can have the other businesses is also another asset class where we can create the money investing into others businesses or starting our own business, or direct equities like a share stocks. So the assets which are creating appreciating as well as creating a dividend income or some rental yield, so all types of investments which are creating some returns, that all falls into asset class.
Yes.
So another couple of areas is that liquidable assets and non-liquidable assets. Like we can have it within a day or two, like mutual funds, fixed deposit, or we can sell the gold and get the money. So which are fall into liquidable assets, share stocks, mutual funds, fixed deposit, gold. And non-liquidable is coming as the money invested into businesses, stocks, as well as real estate, property, plot, or yeah, this kind of non-liquidable assets.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Vilas. Yes, Gautamji.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I am having I'm having a passion of photography, and I'm having a camera, lenses, and equipments. What will treat it as a asset or liability?
Investing. Okay, so you see whether it generates. It can be asset, it can be liability. It's in your hand actually, right? So if it keeps appreciating in value and if it generates periodic income, it is an asset. But if it keeps depreciating in value and it doesn't generate any money or it consumes more money, then it is a liability. For example, you use all these hi-fi equipments to photograph and then you really earn money on that. You can consider that as the depreciating asset, because the capital cost will depreciate, right? But it can be asset as long as it generates money for you through the photos you are selling or making money out of it. But you just invest in huge equipments and you just do a photography for your passion and in general.
Passion only.
Yeah, then it is a liability, which is okay. Nothing wrong in that. Nobody says that you should not have liability, but you should understand that it is a liability, and it enhances you are the biggest asset. So it gives you a lot more value and strength to you. You is the biggest asset. So the liability can help you to build your asset as well, which makes you stronger, which makes you more passionate, which makes you really more lively. And you as the asset can do whatever you want. So the liability can support, it can leverage, the liability can leverage your wealth and health, obviously. Yeah.
And goodwill like that. Somebody is having good experience like that.
Absolutely, that is the greatest.
Yeah,
that is the greatest wealth, actually.
Thank you. Very good discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for bringing in that. Right. So any other points or questions on this, what we discussed so far? Okay. So following with what Vilasji said, what are the various asset classes? So he talked about so real estate, gold, your bank deposits, savings, mutual funds, your stocks or shares, right? And there are antiques. That is also assets. There are people who are really go and collect antiques and they sell it for higher higher value. Also, for example, arts and writing books, those things also are different kind of asset class. The specialty of that, writing books or producing movies, producing music albums, you get a no royalty on the sale of each of that item. So that is also a very good asset class, right? And there are digital asset classes also. You can produce some of the digital designs, which some of the sites, they take your design and they print it in the t-shirt and the coffee mug or many other things. And whenever that is sold, they give you some royalty for you. So nowadays, there are more and more avenues for creating wealth, not necessarily in the traditional wealth. There is a modern approach to all these things. And you all might have heard about cryptocurrencies and NFT. So those are all other asset classes which are much more newer and much more riskier and more volatile. So you may or may not want to get into that. And particularly when it is not legalized and not accepted by authorities like RBI, SEBI, you may not want to touch that. But some countries it is very much valid. Some countries it is not valid. So there are always different kinds of assets keeps coming up. So we have to be updated ourselves and understand the importance or what are the risks and returns involved in it, and then get into it. So don't.
What about man making, sir?
What about
Man making?
Oh yeah,
Is it an asset?
Of course. So can you say what do you mean by man making?
Yeah, for example, your children,
Yes.
if you build them up,
Right.
if you build their inner wealth,
Absolutely.
they always become an asset to you also and to society also and to the world also.
Yes. Absolutely. That is
And
the biggest asset.
And that is very difficult thing.
Yes.
And that you should know. If you know that, and then of course you are the biggest creator of wealth.
Yes. To the
See,
whole
head of
world.
the families. Some families deteriorate, because the head and difference in some families, the head, because of the head, they prosper.
Yeah. So yeah, creating the next generation as wealth builders rather than liabilities. There are there are families where the kids become liabilities for themselves and for the rest of the people.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can convert. Actually, they should be the real assets for the world at large. And that you cannot do without you yourself being like that.
Yes.
So that's what we are learning every day. That
Exactly.
how we can be the real asset or wealth we are. Only then we can make the others
Exactly
like that. So that's why we are all here.
And that's the value of AMC.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for bringing this up.
Ramaji,
yes, Gautamji.
Two things kindly you are explaining very nice. What exactly cryptocurrency is? What is that? Is it any physical currency or digital?
It is digital. It is digital. Yeah. So typically, any currency, okay, whether it is Indian rupee or US dollar or UK pounds, that is typically monitored and controlled by the central authority, right? So our Indian rupee is controlled by RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So similarly, each country has their own central bank, which controls how much money to be circulated and what is the value of that money, all those things, and how they make it legalized to exchange. So the money has its own value, and everybody can accept that, right? That the RBI assures that as long as you hold this note, it has this much value.
It is mentioned in the note, currency itself.
Mentioned in the note also, correct. So it is completely convertible, completely exchangeable, and there is no hurdle, there is no issue. You don't need to possess any special qualities or special things. It is all freely convertible as per the central bank. So now what happened is in so there was one guy. Nobody knows who's that guy. His name is I forgot his name. Some of you may remember his name. So he came out with an idea saying that why do we need to always depend on the central bank for creating wealth, creating the money. Some of us, whoever is, we are all willing, we are all the friends together. Let's create a digital currency and we will use it among ourselves to exchange value, right? And here, that is how it became, the cryptocurrency became. So he created that approach and then people started creating the cryptocurrencies and circulate. See, you can decide arbitrarily, you can decide, you can actually give one token and say that, this value is whatever, 1 lakh, right? And if I want 1 lakh, you give this. So you can also create that private bartering kind of thing, right? In the ancient days, that is how it started. There was no central bank, there was no regulations. It is set of people came together from the village or from that community and group, and they exchanged the actual goods, whether it is rice or the vegetables or the food, they exchanged. But in the modern terms, it is among the people, they created digitally the currency. And it can be exchangeable among themselves, and there is no need for any central authority to come and authorize that. So it is a private currency, which can be traded among, which can be exchanged and traded among the set of people who come to that platform.
Thank you very much. Another thing that is now in a mutual fund or share, you are telling the global investment.
Right.
Is it legalized? That is, we can invest through the institution, like some global investments some people are declaring.
Yes.
Is it legalized to invest in the foreign fund?
Yes, yes, I'll explain that. So before that, let's hear from Jonathan. You wanted something? Yeah.
I had a question. So
Yeah.
if you want to, I just said, how do I build wealth? Or 10 years from now, I want my money to come when I retire. I mean, I'm already retired age.
Yes.
I'm already into 60. So
Right.
I have 10 more years to work.
Right.
At 70, I want some money coming into me. So
Yes.
how do I invest? How much
Yes.
shares, mutual funds,
Sure.
whatever, XYZ, that every month a fixed amount comes into my account.
Excellent.
With regards to depreciating, matlab so much, if I say it's 1 lakh a month should come in, I know that at 10 years from now, 1 lakh is as good as maybe 50,000 or even less, 20,000. All that I am understanding, but still, what are those different places where I could put the money and get my some amount, at least like dal chawal coming, kind of?
Excellent. Yeah, it's a very beautiful question. That is what we all must be doing it. I'll explain that. So just to close with Gautam's this question, there are global funds nowadays. The mutual fund houses as well as the demat accounts, they have offered the global funds. So what they do is they take in terms of Indian currency. They are allowed to go and invest in the foreign markets. I think they initially allowing only in the EFTs, exchange traded ETFs, sorry, not EFT, ETFs, exchange traded funds. So they offer mutual funds. There are some mutual funds which are taking your money and they invest in the global market, whether it is US or other countries. And at the trading account also, they are allowing you to participate in some of the markets like US. So it is valid. Now, Gautamji, it has come up recently, few years, and it is very much valid, and you should diversify some amount to those global funds as well. Mutual funds as well as direct stocks, both are available for us to invest now. Is that clear, Gautamji?
Sir, it is clear.
Yeah, so you can consider that as another asset class, and it is
And
Yes,
now I'm interested for this question. Is a valid question, Janita madam. Is how we can? What is
Yes,
the
I
way we
will.
can say?
Yeah, I will come to that. I will come to that.
I'm also eager
well,
to listen that.
Okay, great, great. Yes, Vilasji, go on.
well, as per the RBI's FEMA guideline, the Indians can invest up to $250,000 annually into foreign institutions or foreign funds as well as stocks. So, so many Indians are investing in US dollar as per RBI guideline. And recently, the Indian mutual fund industry also started investing in foreign stock shares like innovations, NFO, and all this stuff. Because to invest into US market via mutual fund. So this is a foreign investment, but there is a limitation that how much percentage they can invest outside the India as per the SEBI.
Right.
So
Yeah, right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Vilasji. So the one point I forgot, which Vilasji brought it up. Gautamji, there are two ways of investing in foreign. One is like Vilasji explained. Directly, you can invest into other country in their institute. Like we have our own trading accounts and mutual funds and PMS guys like that. In other countries, you can directly invest. The other one is we can invest through mutual fund and the trading accounts. So both the possibilities are there. Thanks, Vilas. Right. So now coming back to the question Jonita and Gautamji asked. So what do I do to make sure that when I don't work at all, but I get a periodic income like monthly salary, I would like to get, right? So this is where typically investing at the early stage is very, very important because if it stays, the investment stays for a longer time, the compounding creates wealth really. But it doesn't matter wherever we are, at whatever the age we are, we can get started now. Right? So now what we can do is there are many ways of investing. One, we can go to the direct stock. We can go to trading in commodities, trading in F&O. So those are all having a little bit more risk. We may not want to. One is risk. Second, we have to spend time. Third, we need to have knowledge in doing all those things. So we may not be able to afford to do all these things, creating the knowledge. We may have knowledge, but not sufficient. We may not have time to do that. And we may not be able to withstand the risk involved, risk and volatility involved in it, right? Hence, we would like to look for some medium level risk and not spending too much time and not having too much of knowledge. Still, I would like to invest and get sufficient return because what happens is the value of money keeps decreasing, like Jonita already told, that the 1 lakh today may be 50,000 after 10 years. So it keeps decreasing. So hence, it is important that we have to invest in something which has, which generates return. So our inflation is typically 7%. So anything which gives more than 7% is what we need to look at it. So if you put your money in fixed deposit, it is going to be just 3%. That is not even meeting your inflation. So you need to find some asset class which gives you more than inflation, hence your wealth grows, and it doesn't take your time and it doesn't demand your knowledge and skill, right? So with that condition, what are all the possibilities for us to invest? Okay, one typical possibility is the mutual funds. So mutual funds is something where you give the money to the fund manager. The fund manager collects from multiple people, and then he invests in bulk and then generates the returns because the fund manager is expert in that area and he spends time and money. And when you are investing, they collect some fee for that. There is something called what is the cost involved in it, which is okay as long as they generate good return more than inflation, which grows. We can also give some money to them, which is fair point. So mutual fund industry is well established and that really grows well. So the first option for many of us is to invest in mutual funds on a periodic basis. Every month, either, weekly also you can do. You can do SIP, something called SIP. SIP is systematic investment plan, where you can open. See here, the mutual fund, you don't need to go through the financial advisors or the banks. You can create your own direct mutual fund account. That is the best way. But if you're going through the financial advisors or through the bank, in addition to mutual fund house collecting the charges, they will also take the commission. So 1% of your total value goes as a commission if you're going through the financial advisors and the banks. So instead, you can save that 1% every year, and it can grow much better because it's not a big deal. You can easily create your direct mutual fund account. If any of you want any guidance, help on that, I'll be more than happy to do that. So create your direct mutual fund and then look at, there are various schemes offered. So broadly, you can classify that into two categories. One is the equity based, another is debt based. So equity based mutual funds they are investing into the equity or the stocks or the shares. The shares always goes up and down, but it has in the long run it generates much better return. Whereas debt fund is on FDs and debentures and bonds. So that is relatively stable, but the return will also be less. But it will be much more than your bank deposits. So you have to have a combination of both equity-based mutual fund as well as debt-based mutual fund. So that is one way. The second way is NPS, National Pension Scheme, where basically you create a NPS account. This you can create through bank also. If you have the bank account, you can create NPS, or you can directly create NPS account through their sites. So here you put your money, they in turn invest into stock market. So they charge the commission they charge is very, very less. So hence go for NPS. Another advantage of NPS is there is a lock-in period. First 10 or 15 years, you cannot take out the money except in special cases. So it is locked. Hence there is a sufficient time given for that money to grow and compound. So for most of us, these are the simplest way of generating the money which can come after 10 years, 15 years on a periodic basis, on a monthly basis. So once the mutual fund and NPS grows, then you can put something called SWP, right, which is a systematic withdrawal plan. So you can say every month you redeem so much, and that comes as like a salary. So this is what we can do. Mutual funds and NPS, these are the two best ways to get started for us to get more like pension on a monthly basis after 10 years, 15 years. So does it answer, Janita and Gautamji? Yes. Yes, Reddy Garu, you wanted to say something?
Sir, about index funds?
Yes, index fund. Yeah, in mutual funds, there are a lot of innovations nowadays. So equity mutual funds, debt mutual funds, and index mutual funds, very, very important and very low cost. And you should definitely invest in that. And also the global funds like Gautamji said. So you can invest in all of them. So some portion you have to allocate into all those things. Yes, Vilas.
Mutual fund is very vast topic because in mutual fund there are more than 45 asset management companies in India. Each and every company is having more than 20 to 30 schemes, and especially in fixed deposit, there are some fixed maturity plans which are giving more returns than your fixed deposits. So FMPs are there, and there is one thumb rule of the risk, how much risk you can take. So ideally, there is a international thumb rule: 100 minus your current age is your risk appetite. That much money you can allocate to the equities. Like for Jonita ma'am, if she want to have a mutual fund portfolio, she can invest into a balanced fund where she can't take the much risk, but yeah, she can generate the returns also, like 50-50 approach or 40-60 approach as a balanced fund. And while designing the portfolio, actually, you have to go through the details, because there are some sector funds which are very risky. There are some balanced funds which are moderate return, pure equity funds. So in that category also, thousands of funds are there. So because of that, people are confused because there are each and every asset management company is having same types of funds. Like Birla is having technology fund, SBI is also having technology fund. So in that, people got confused. So that's where we have to get the guidance, like which fund to buy for diversification point of view. If the markets are down, still we have the proper diversification of the balanced sector, as well as multi cap, flexi cap, mid cap, and large cap. So this is something a really interesting area to study and invest, because most of the people are not getting the returns at par because they are not well diversified, or they are not invested, in good funds. Because we have to know that which fund manager is doing well, which asset management company's research team is good, because there is a difference between the same category of funds in returns also. That's where we need some guidance, that
Yeah,
what type of portfolio we have to design.
yeah,
So
that's right. That's
yeah,
right. See, having a great financial advisor is good, who can really help you to grow the money. But unfortunate situation is that most of the financial advisors are working for themselves, not for you. In the sense, they will force you to buy some schemes where they get more commission, irrespective of what return you are getting. Right.
yeah,
So
that is
that is a
the
challenge.
irony
But
of
that doesn't mean that there
industry.
are not good advisors. There are great advisors. It is a actually it is a big humongous effort for you to really identify the right financial advisor. If you have right financial advisor, definitely you should utilize his services or our services. But with,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Because as Rama sir, you know the finance and you are reading a lot, so it's very easy to choose the scheme. But as a layman person, choosing a
Yeah.
scheme and diversifying the money is not that easy.
yeah, it's not
And
easy. I'm
knowing the
not saying it is
company
easy
whether
at all.
this scheme is good or that scheme is good,
Right.
again people are putting into doubt, because there are thousands of schemes to choose and very limited money to put in, and they don't want to take a risk, like if this money will grow or not.
Right.
And in
So
mutual fund,
while that is a complexity, Vilasi, it is also the time where we have so much of information, so much of transparency in the financial market. If
yes,
we
yes,
put our mind and little bit effort, we can also learn. We should learn. I'm not
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that you avoid the financial advisor. Even if you have a great financial advisor, you should also learn. You should also understand. That's what I mean.
So
Any
that is
magazine?
the role of the financial advisor, to teach the people how to read the fact sheets of the mutual funds, or what are the things, because it's a learning process. And
How many advisors do that, sir?
practically I
Nobody.
do from
It
last
is in their
24 years
interest,
I'm
and it
doing,
is in
because
their interest to
that's how
keep
I
you
retained my first client 24 years back. I had one client, and still he's with me, and he knows much better ways, so we can discuss on that level. So see, this is the way I practice myself, because I have to educate them,
right.
make them aware. It's not only support, but yeah, that's I feel. And you are absolutely right. That's the reason so many people are not successful in this profession, because they think themselves, and client realize that okay, he's making his money, not client's money.
Not for the client. Yeah. So it is, let me tell you,
Yeah.
choosing a financial advisor is similar to choosing your spouse. Okay. So you need to really be careful about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Ramaji, any good magazine or like that anywhere regularly they can give this uh, top leading mutual fund or like that? Anything is there?
There are so much of information floating around, Gautamji. I am not able to tell you something specific, but I will pass on some information to you, which may be helpful. But there are some people who are excellent people, like Vilasji said. There are excellent people who are amazing. They really teach you. They really concerned about your wealth creation. There are some people I can introduce. One of them is, for example, one person called Vijay Kittu. So that guy is really working to create knowledge among all of us, and he wants to make each one of us independent and learn very well. So he charges very minimal amount, but he teaches very well. So I will send you some details like that. And he also has some groups like WhatsApp group and Telegram, where he really puts up excellent information which will be useful. So, and there are great books written on this. So one of the things, the other guy is Subramani, who is there in Mumbai. He has written books, and he has YouTube channels also, and he has a website. So I'll pass on some details between this Vijay Kittu and Subramani. If you follow these two guys, you can become millionaires.
Just one thing I want to add, if you really want to learn, there are some sites also like moneycontrol.com or mutualfund.com. So there are lots of information is available online also on digital platforms. There are so many blogs where you can go through the real experience of the people, what and how they created a wealth. So it's like a really so much information. You can find out like Ramaji recommended couple of people. So there are so many people who are educating in this field, and they are giving a lots of information on this. So I will also share some few names.
Yes.
Who are really doing, creating awareness between the people by sharing their experiences and expertise.
Yeah. So in our group, of course, Vilasji and Suresh Kumar, these two are financial experts as well. So some of us can also contact them, and they will definitely help us direct us in the right direction. I'm not a financial guy, but I teach finance. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. Yeah. Yes.
Ramaji,
Yes.
there are so many Demat account.
Yes.
Just like I am having the Demat account in HDFC Securities.
Yeah.
So there are so many, and they is it wise to keep money or wise to open the Demat account into any platform, or should go for the secure platform, secure bank institution?
Yeah, so it's better to go with some good and known and secured platform. It's better. But there are, as you rightly said, there are so many people, new people who came up, and discount brokers and all those things. They keep giving you different options. They attract you with so many schemes. So it's better to choose an appropriate one. In the discount brokers, for example, Zerodha is one of the good things, even though they're cheap, but they are also good. So there are like in the banks, of course, every bank also has. Yes, Vilasji.
This Demat account is having some charges annually, approximately 300 to 500 rupees. So, Gautamji, rather than keeping so many Demat account with each and everybody, you can close down the accounts as early as possible if there is no shares, stocks, mutual funds are lying. Because you are thinking that, okay, we are having so many accounts like bank account. And bank account also, we have to maintain certain minimum balance. So as this is also charging. So I think keeping the active Demat account makes sense. And if you close today also, you can open it tomorrow as and when it requires. So I think you have to keep an eye on that how many Demat accounts you hold unnecessarily. It's lying and charging year on year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't have too many things. You can have one or two maximum, or three in the worst case. You don't need to have multiple things, but if you want, you can have one or two. So Gautamji, you can message me separately. I can tell what I hold and how my experience is.
Thank you.
Yes, Reddy.
Sir, I suggest to go for a full-fledged broker than a discount broker.
Right.
because they are more safe and
Yeah, the safe. Yeah, correct.
that's what I'm doing. I
Yeah,
want
because
to-
particularly,
Yeah.
we experienced Carvey a few years ago.
True,
They
sir.
started manipulating and touching the customers' stocks, utilizing that customer stock. It's absurdly, against everything. So
Yeah.
we should not definitely get into those kind of people. Yeah,
Even
I will suggest to you,
even
Reddy
the
garu.
charges are slightly more than discount brokers. It's
Yeah,
better.
yeah, I will suggest that also. Yeah, I'll do it one on one. Yeah. Right. So, any other point? Any other questions? So this insurance is a big topic. We will talk about it separately. Let's not mix. Only thing I want to say is that insurance is for your risk, managing risk in your life. It is not the investment. It is not the return generation, right? So you be clear on that. Don't mix the investment and wealth creation with the insurance. Insurance is for ensuring your life and your risk coverage, not for generating wealth or investment. So be clear on that alone. So with that, I think we can conclude today's session. Thank you very much for your participation. So as usual, we will have tomorrow 7 o'clock our EMC. Thank you very much.
Okay, great session, Raman.
Thank
Great
you.
session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rama, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Ramaji, you can stop recording.